this great idea for a video. It's a field. There's a guy in a leather jacket walking around, and there's some slow motion shots of a model in bare feet in a Depression-era dress with some of her buttons undone. And you cross-cut some black and white footage of a native guy or a wise old black man. And here's the outrageous part. You have the guy in the leather jacket start playing the guitar. Walker Young was in my first-year English class. We were the clever kids. He was a loner, though, where I was always the joiner. Even when we went out, I could sense he regarded me with contempt. His feelings for me were part sympathetic and part aloof. We stopped seeing each other when he quit halfway through his degree and moved downtown to live in the ghetto. I know that whole routine. Downtown groovers. Ponytails, black jeans, black leather jackets, maybe a motorcycle. And a chick. This is what women do in the ghetto. They act like chicks. They live for a man. Preferably one with talent. Painter, musician, sculptor, whatever. He's probably in a band, or at least he's got friends in a band. You encourage him, no one understands him. You work, he sleeps. You pay the rent, he buys the hash. You're probably a waitress. You drink a lot of beer at night, and you smoke some hash after your shift. You try and convince him to go back to school. You think about going back to school yourself, and you read a lot of useless, highly theoretical books by French feminists. And then it gets to be 5 years later, and you're still there watching all his friends slide out of the bottom of life, and you wonder how it happened. Of these guys, there are 1, guys who get over it. 2, guys who don't know how to get over it, but constantly reassure you that their lives are okay. And 3, guys who really have talent. And of course, those guys go on to become Eric Fischl or David Byrne or Oscar Peterson. Those guys don't need saving. At any time, the number 2s can become number 1s or number 3s, but they don't really have to, because every 3 years, there's a whole new roster of 18-year-old girls just waiting to buy into their authenticity. The whole bit with Cool Boys is that they want to have more mystique than they have. They're funny and smart, and they have a great take on things, but more often than not, they're losers. Smart, talented losers. My early 20s were littered with cool boys and leather jackets who made fun of everything. But those guys had no goals. They never tried anything, you know? But boy, did they make fun of those who tried and screwed up. And anyone who was successful was immediately derided or dismissed because they'd sold out or because they hadn't suffered enough and therefore didn't have an edge. Cool boys don't feel they deserve success, so no one else does either. All my boyfriends were torn between being cool and having a future. So I'm a corporate whore because at the age of 24, I finally decided I was sick of laundromats and was going to take my life seriously. I mean, when you're young, it's kind of exciting to have negative feelings about things, but this is like 10 years later, guys. You don't have to argue about pop music anymore. You don't have to have an opinion about psychic TV. You don't have to worry about heavy metal magazine. Trust me, girls, I know. I went out with guys who used to jerk off to cartoons. But even though Walker fucked around an awful lot of people and could be an obnoxious, abusive bastard, to hear that he's a junkie now living in Vancouver isn't so much of a relief somehow. God. It's pretty terrible to think that being in a punk band in high school was the high point of his life. If Walker ever sees this, he'll say it's great, but when I walk away, he'll dismiss me by saying I sold out, which is the absolute insult in the world of cool boys. See, Walker dismissed everything. He perfected the art of taking things too seriously and not seriously enough at the same time. Sirens. That's what cool boys are. Of course, that's just my opinion. You could still prove me wrong.